Welcome to that spiritual, actual, factual answers to questions you're asking. You find them inside you, recite you, reciting the records of cash. We laughing, we drafting the passion to vary. It's time for that comedy, dramedy, all of the fanciest, catchiest acronyms. Listeners, listen, we traveling. Conscious is always unraveling. The reading you're having is mapping you back to your natural habitat. Abracadabra, it's magic, let's basking it. To top it off, the host, all the classiest. Now, what were you asking for? All of the answers? What? All the answers.
Hello.
Hey, well, here we are. What do we have to say to each other?
So many things have happened.
Oh, good. Love to hear about them.
You're like, great, because I got nothing.
I got very little. I'll be honest, I'm mildly, I don't know, depressed is really a strong word for what I feel today. I just feel kind of, today. It's a strange feeling, and I think I'll be fine.
Any reason?
I just finally don't have something to do today, and so I was just like, well, I have no future, and that's stupid, and I'm done with that feeling. It was brief, but I did sit for the first time in a long time.
Wow.
I was feeling mild sadness. So I was like, let me sit with that, and let me sit with that, and just kind of working through stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Being a grown-up. Being like a conscious grown-up.
That's a stretch.
Nah, you're the grown-uppiest of them all.
Oh, fuck. Then we're in trouble.
Probably correct.
Yeah.
You have no beard.
No, I shaved it off a while ago.
Still no beard.
Still no beard. Keeping it off.
How do you feel about that?
I kind of miss it, I'll be honest. But, it was this thing that I did when I got a new agent, and they're like, yeah, you should shave off the beard and get new headshots and whoop-de-whoop. But then I've gotten this many auditions. I'm holding up a big 0. That's not true, but very little. Like, what's the point? I might as well just grow my beard back because I like it better. I don't know. Nothing makes sense right now. It's not that important. I guess I am mildly depressed.
You think? I like that combo. Nothing makes sense, but it's not that important.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
Des, go.
Does it comfort you or fill you with fear, the idea that none of this matters?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Mostly it comforts me.
Because it comforts me, but it makes Kelly's spine tingle.
I hear that.
Wondering where you guys stand on it.
I actually have a little bit more of a complex answer to it, which I think maybe would illuminate something for some people. Like, I've had a journey to the current answer I have for this. I think, okay, here's how I love this question because here's what it is. I used to need to know it all mattered. And then through integrating and feeling very whole and knowing that I matter very much to me, I now no longer need any of it to matter. Like, I'm sitting here, when you ask that, I feel into myself, I go, well, I matter a lot to me. And then I'm like, does anything we're doing matter? It does to me in terms of my fulfillment. Does it matter? I guess according to whose perspective? Because I think built into the question is an existential angst that I don't currently have.
How about humanity's perspective? Earthling's perspective? In the universal idea is what we're all running around here doing on Earth really?
No.
Really matter?
No.
I mean, it becomes
but yes.
a semantic argument at a certain point because, like, what does the word matter mean? I'm thinking,
I am matter.
I am matter. And if I'm going to continue to exist and interact, then I have to sort of plant a flag in something mattering or else I'll just evaporate, which I guess in some ways is the goal.
But I mean, he would say, he's asking, so in addition to that, I feel like what Desmond is putting forward is, does it matter if you just evaporate?
No, that's a perspective that I actually came to much more recently where I stopped fearing death.
That's cool.
Yeah. And as a result, like, this is a hard phrase to utter, but just, I have a friend who cavalierly talks about getting rid of himself.
Yeah.
And it used to really bother me.
Yeah.
And he's done it for years. Like, it's, 30 years of that. So it's not like, oh God, is he going to do something? But he means it and he doesn't. And I realized at a certain point, like, oh, that's okay. if he needed to no longer be here, that's fine.
Yeah.
Me too. It's suffering I fucking don't want.
Mm-hmm.
It's suffering I don't want. I don't care. Death, fine, good, done. I'm done. And there have been more times recently where I've been like, and it wasn't even like when I was suffering greatly, deeply, passionately, where I was just like, fuck, I don't want to deal with that. Like, I don't want to deal with the repercussions of whatever this complicated emotional story is that's unfurling in front of me. Boy, if I just wasn't here, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And it's a brief passing thought, but it actually gives me strange comfort.
Okay.
To know that there's like it's okay.
It's okay. What's okay? That you're going to die is okay?
Yeah, that I'm going to die, that someday I won't have to worry about that stuff. And that's cool. And right now, worrying about it, great. It's not going to kill you. And if it does, that's okay too. Like, I don't know.
That's cool.
It's not a fully fleshed out thought, but there is a weird comfort in, I'm almost saying like being okay with suicide, but I don't mean that.
No, I understand. I don't think you have to even qualify that. I'm a real big proponent of like, everything is okay. I guess in a way, Desmond, because it all matters and it doesn't.
And Katie, have you seen the movie yet? For which that is the thesis statement.
Uh-oh.
It's the fucking movie. You still haven't seen it.
Do I have to hang up and walk away?
You might. No, we're done.
You have this time carved out of your schedule. I think it would be better utilized with you watching the movie.
Bye. No, it's fine. You can never see that movie. You already know everything that's in it, and I mean that.
Well, what it is like, now I have to kill myself to in punishment for not having watched it, but also to acknowledge its thesis.
Exactly.
Instead of watching it. If I were to watch it, then I'd have to live the rest of my life. And who wants any of that?
Who wants any of that?
Okay, wait. I want to flesh out a little more of what I was saying, if I may, because there's something more I'm teasing out here, which is like something like, I love when you asked it because it made me go, I felt into my own like sort of wholeness. And I went, okay, I feel very whole. So it matters a lot to me that I now make use of the wholeness that I worked for 40 years to have or 30 years to get. But then if you ask me, so then to my soul, from my soul's perspective, does it matter what happens here? Yes, because then where my soul goes next is dependent upon what occurs here. So I'm pretty invested in what my soul does or how, like its progression. So it matters to that. Now, existentially, does anything matter? Like hard no, because it's all just molecules moving and consciousness. I kind of am of the belief that like consciousness is just consciousnessing through time space, and we're just body minds that have the choice to be aware of that or not. So the three of us here are aware that consciousness is moving through us and doing stuff and making choices, and then we like move our arms around to like yes or no. So like because it's all already like it's just a wave of energy moving through meat body suits. No, nothing matters at all according to the bigger picture. So I guess universally it doesn't matter, but relatively it does.
So do you believe that without a physical universe, consciousness still exists?
Okay. I believe that the physical universe exists as a way for consciousness to know itself. In other words, without duality, nothing can see what it is.
Because there is no seer.
Correct. So I do believe that narrative, there's sort of that narrative of like consciousness was, and then it went like, what am I? And then it exploded into all different shapes and sizes and energies so that it could have a point of view.
I like that.
Can you run that sound again? Because I think that was important.
No.
No.
I don't know. What did I do?
I don't know.
Is that it?
Maybe. That's close. I just wanted to make sure that was the sound you wanted.
Desmond could play it back in the edit. You could ask, though, if that's the case. I mean, it's a long way to go to know yourself.
Consciousness? It's a big ask.
No, like I'll create all things in the universe so I can know myself. Like, why don't you just like create a little bit of a friend? Just create like one lady.
Well, let's boil that down to the individual. What does that look like? Is there an analog for us here? Like the world that we create for ourselves. You can do We do a lot to know ourselves. We do a fuck ton.
Yeah.
We don't just go, I'm going to perfect drinking tea. Like that could be the way you know yourself. That's one small thing. But you don't. We do a lot of things.
I do believe the adage, there's a 12-step saying, they say to know one thing intimately is to know all things. And I really believe that that's true, because I had to get really granular on like 12-step recovery stuff, like addiction. And I just went so deep into so many directions on that one rabbit hole that it literally exploded the whole universe out to me. Like everything became transparent and I don't know, like all the answers were present just through going down that rabbit hole. Anyway, that's just my little experience. But I do, as a result of that experience, believe that you could, to your point, study making tea quite intimately, like one cup, like the perfect tea, or what is it to steep a leaf. And if you became a master at that, I bet you'd know a lot about being a person, like patience and mercy and compassion and trying again and stick-to-itiveness and quitting when you're down and, you know?
Yeah. And there is also a certain, like, I really admire, am almost envious of people who can drill down on one thing so hard.
That's what she said.
That's
the answer to everything.
That might be the best "that's what she said" ever uttered.
I'm so proud of it. Thank you.
No one could see Katie's expression, but it was so studious.
So serious.
And so like, yes, what you just said has all of the truth in it. And here's my response.
The profundity.
And I didn't hear it until you said it either. Like I didn't hear what I had said.
Those are the best ones. When you're not ahead of it and someone else says it and then you get to enjoy it.
It's like running in and slapping the buzzer. That's what she said. Whew.
Desmond, you were going to say something a minute ago, Desmond. Do you remember what it was?
I do. I made a note. So, if there are multiple universes, then it's possible that multiple consciousnesses...
Try that again.
Oh, no, I nailed it. Spawned them. And if multiple consciousnesses...
Better.
...are spanning different universes, does that mean they have an ego?
Okay, I have an answer to this. I don't think multiple consciousnesses spawned multiple universes. I think consciousness spawned multiple universes.
Okay, there was just too much consciousness to go around.
Well, there's just consciousness is so vast. It's so much bigger than a universe. A universe is like a thing it creates. So it is that which creates things. Or I would say it is that from which things are created. Therefore, it can create multiple whatevers. It doesn't have a limitation on it. So you don't need two of it to create lots of things.
Okay, I buy that. There's a lot of consciousness to go around.
Yeah, I think so.
One might say you can't even, like that sentence almost doesn't make sense because there's not a lot of consciousness.
Right.
Because that indicates an amount.
Separation.
Yeah, consciousness just is.
Yeah. You know, here's a good way to know these things for oneself. When you lead your energy healing classes, guys, and then someone asks, can you heal this deep trauma on the back of my heart? And then the universe pulls you back into the black womb of no thing. When you sit inside the black womb of no thing, all of this becomes apparent. So that's all you have to do.
Oh, cool. Wait, let me write that down.
First, I got to start teaching a healing class. And then so that's going to take me a while. And then...
I just thought that'd be a funny way to frame that. But it is an interesting perspective to have in a human body, to be pulled into that place a lot and to sit in there and then go, oh, shit, I'm sitting here? I'm sitting in the center of the space from which all other things arise.
Yeah.
And the thing that I call I is just a witnessing awareness of what is occurring. Therefore, there is no individuated I. There's just consciousness aware of what is. And then when I get pulled back into the Katie Rubin body, I can have thoughts about that thing that just happened. But that she who was experiencing the thing, I would argue, is just consciousness itself. Like in other words, we talk about my consciousness, my awareness, Katie Rubin's awareness, Cassidy's consciousness, Desmond's consciousness. I think when you sit in the center of the energy of consciousness, you realize, all there is consciousness is consciousness. The personality and the mind of you is a creation born out of consciousness. So there's no personal consciousness to you. There's a personal ego and a personal mind, but those are creations from the black womb of no thing. So consciousness just is, and we each have access to it, and it's not personal. I think that's what I like about it the most.
Yeah, and to return to the original question about mattering, does it all matter? Does anything matter? Like it does. I feel like it depends on the perspective. I think we already said this, but like from the perspective of even the universe and blowing up out of that consciousness, not this coffee. Me having this coffee or not matters none. Even that war over there matters none in the large idea of it. But in the individual experience, 3D, of course, so much fucking matters. It's nice to be able to reach out and touch the it doesn't matter energy every once in a while, just to kind of pull ourselves out of the ego fight that we're constantly having with the 3D world. You know, it can lift me. I mean, for me, when I can touch in with that, it kind of lifts me out of that for a moment and goes, sure, on this level, me having this argument with a friend or this frustrated bill pay or whatever, yeah, of course it matters to me here now in this experience.
Right. It's the relative versus the universal.
But being able to go, but also it doesn't matter, is a nice way to kind of, get bigger than it.
Yeah, I think that's what it does for me too, Cass. I don't think I ever really thought about it, but I think it's a real zoom out for me. Just like, does all of this need my interaction? When I zoom back in, yeah, I got to do my shit, but nah.
I would even say, like for me, I guess I needed it more. I needed, when you said, Cass, the thing about to dip into that from time to time, I had to spend, my whole life has been living in it, not dipping in it, like living in it. So because of how badly I needed the healing that comes from not being mired in it,
Yeah.
Like I just needed it so much from so much pain but then the weird paradox is spending so much time there made it a lot easier to be here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, because the opposite is everything matters a lot. And that is going to cause nothing but anxiety and drinking and whatever form of, punishment you have to put on yourself to force it to not matter just for a fucking minute. At least that's how I feel about it. Like if you're just caught up in all of it mattering, I can't imagine that not just most of the time. It just causes you to swirl in place. Because if everything matters too much, what do you grab onto to deal with next? And no matter what you deal with, it's going to be the wrong thing because something else matters so much that you didn't get to. And just,
I guess for me, I hear what you're saying. I have a pretty different perspective on it. I could either say it or not.
Definitely do.
Does it matter? Well, I don't know.
That's exactly. Not really. That's what I literally was thinking. I was like, I could say that or not. Let me just try to get words for this. I experience when I breathe into my middle section here and close my eyes, just like get connected with it. It's like I have a lot of quiet and peace inside of my heart and my belly and my mind. There's like nothing in my mind, and there's a lot of wholeness and peace in my body. Okay. So then that's just sitting here choosing to get present to that space that I created over 30 years of working to create a lot of peace inside. Okay. But then I go out and I live life, right? And I have like stuff I want to do and like deadlines and people's feelings and bills, money, and fucking the dog has to go out, right? All the things, the pressure of life. So what I'm literally doing every moment of my existence, because of this exact question, when I started asking it all that long ago, because of all the pain, like the pain caused me to ask this question and find the following solution for myself, which is that what I'm doing every millisecond is anytime I catch myself too caught in what matters, like I'm committed to things, like they have to matter so I show up for them. Otherwise I would just sit here. But in my internal experience can still be peace while it matters. And for me, peace is different from it doesn't matter. there's a third option, I guess, is what I'm saying. So there's it matters, it doesn't matter, and then there's peace while it matters. So
That's awesome.
that's what I wanted to get to. And that's the thing. That's what I was trying to get to.
Because again, like if it matters, you got to deal with it and you got to tangle with it and but you can get to a place where like, it matters.
I'm invested and I'm at peace while I'm invested. So I feel like it's more about mindfulness around what happens inside of you when things matter. And can you soften inside the nervous system, spinal column that gets real wound up, like and riled up? Can we soften all that and still show up one step at a time for what matters? So it's how are we carrying ourselves through what matters rather than looking for the binary of the opposite of what matters is it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Because the relative and the universal are concurrent. They are happening at the same moment. So universally, and relatively, And so how do we have peace with that concurrency? I think that's the work we're doing. I think that's why we say do your work, is to get closer and closer to that.
Yeah, I love that. I have to report that just having this conversation, the sort of spun space I was coming from before we sat down, the sort of like worked up, the like slightly fuck it energy is evaporating. So I just wanted to report that. It feels good just to
That's so cool.
have touched in with this concept because it is. It's like, of course, all those things that are bothering you do matter and
Yeah,
it's okay.
right. 1,000,000%. Yeah.
Which is very different than being like repeatedly punched in the head right now. If someone was literally punching me in the head, I kind of have to engage with that pretty head on and directly.
It matters.
It matters. And actually, I can't have it not matter at all. Like I have to have that primary front. But that's different. That's emergency. That's crisis.
I mean, I do think that's why people in prison get really deep and really spiritual, is because you're in prison. Like you have no choice, you have no agency, and that matters. And it matters so much that you have to somehow go so far inside yourself that the peace is within, so that whatever you're doing out here, while it matters, you've got so much peace that it's okay.
Mm-hmm. Because that's the only place that there is peace.
And that is where I really relate to prisoners. Like people, I'm like, God, I whenever I hear a story about someone who's like came out of prison and like was a changed man and read the Bible in the prison library and like found enlightenment or something, or found the Bhagavad Gita, or like a lady came in and taught you yoga and then you were like, I survived prison because of it. I'm always like, I feel like a soul brother or sister to that person because that's how bad my addictions were. I was imprisoned by them and there was literally not a moment of peace inside of me. And that'll drive you pretty hard to go in pretty hard because you realize nothing out works.
Yeah. And that right there is what she said.
Mine was better.
Yeah, I tried. I was really hoping.
Yeah.
I'm going to let it go.
That's why mine was better, is because I didn't try. It just arose, which is what he said.
Yeah.
Hey!
Yeah.
I love your question, Desmond. Thank you for asking that. I love this conversation.
Yeah, this was great. This is I got to tell you, lately as a father, when we have so many of these conversations, all I can think about is how much as a parent, you're kind of forced to beat the outside world into your child.
Huh?
You know, kids they're just consciousnessing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to shake them and say, no, fucking school in 10 minutes.
But you don't actually shake them.
You don't actually shake them.
It's metaphorical.
But like, and it's just trying to strike that balance of making sure of trying to let this new entity keep some purity that it was born with while still introducing it to the physical world that he has to deal with and,
reconcile, navigate.
Yeah.
1,000,000%. I think parenting, seriously for real, is like the hardest thing you can do in a human body. I mean, other than like sustained torture in a torture chamber or something, because of all the obvious reasons. I think it's so hard parenting because you're trying to sustain or maintain or find your own wellness, wholeness, sanity, peace. and then teach this other animal who knows nothing. I mean, or do they know nothing? It's give and take and back off and lean in and constant negotiation, navigation, nervous system, relational dynamics. It's so much. And I feel like, I had some people who used to say in the trainings and stuff, like, you don't need to go to healing school. You need to just be an excellent parent, because becoming an excellent parent is the deepest spiritual training you'll ever get. If you actually become an excellent parent, which is incredibly hard to do.
Yeah.
Like incredibly hard, like maybe harder than climbing Mount Everest.
The consistency of it. Yeah. Like eventually you can get off Mount Everest and go.
Yes.
Because I thought I was so great with kids, and I was great with kids. But then the consistency of it is just like, holy shit.
Like the constancy of it.
Do I have this? Yeah. The constant. Yeah. Do I have the stamina for this? And sometimes.
What's up, everybody? Rami here. Sometimes I can't believe I'm an adult. You know what I mean? I totally remember being a kid and thinking that, whoa, in the future, I was going to be a grown-up. And like imagining what that was like. And sometimes I still can't believe it. Rami's rules.
Tangentially, but fully related, I think metaphorically, I just a week or two ago watched this documentary about an earthquake on Mount Everest. The year, I think it was like 2015. It was a year before Alfred Newman Manfredson climbed Everest or some mountain out there. He did it the next year. I had no idea that he knew that had happened. Anyway, I watched this documentary and it was mind-blowing. It's on Netflix. It just came out, I think. But like, so people are on a trek. This is all going to circle back to what we're talking about. People are on a trek with like randos, like you and me are like, you know what? I'm going to climb Mount Everest. And they like train for a year and then they hire a Sherpa and then they have a guy and they buy the backpack and there they are at base camp. And then there's a life-changing, earth-shattering, literally earthquake that causes an avalanche that kills dozens of people. It flattens an entire village that a bunch of the people were staying in who were away from base camp. There were people halfway up the mountain. There were people at base camp, and there was a village over here. Devastation, mass devastation from this one earthquake. And then it's like people were filming this. There's all this incredible footage. This one woman had footage from, she's walking up the ice. There's like a river of ice that freezes into a, big, huge stalagmites of ice that you climb up one portion of Everest, I guess. And there's all these like ladders that people have left built into it. So you can, crossing crevasses and going up whatever's. This woman's got a headlamp and a camera on. And she's like, okay, I'm about to go up this ladder. And she's narrating and you're watching. And then like an Empire State Building sized avalanche that's so wide you can't see the edges of it, just fully overtakes her. And you watch it, and then she's buried in the snow, and then she's hyperventilating in the snow from panic, but she's not injured, weirdly. A lot of people died right next to her. And she's sort of like, you watch her crawling out of the fucking snow. And then you see like the light of day come through the snow when she finally gets out of it. Like you're inside the experience of somebody surviving an avalanche, which people regularly don't survive. Anyway, it was so intense and profound. And there was, I won't ruin the whole documentary, but I'll just say this. They show you the same day and the same moment from 3 different locations perspectives.
Oh.
In the village, at base camp, and up the mountain. And it is, you should watch it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. I didn't even know there was a freaking earthquake on Everest in 2015. Don't you feel like we should have heard about that?
Are they rare in that region or common?
I don't know. I know avalanches are common.
Yeah.
But I don't know about earthquakes.
Just one more reason I won't be making that trek.
Totally. It's like it came to my mind because when we start speaking existentially about things, I go, people who choose to, in my mind, like people who choose to, let's climb Everest. I'm just like, are you sure? Like, I mean, for so many reasons, are you sure? But I mean, that's the human spirit.
That's also the seeking for mattering, probably.
Yeah. And purpose
And purpose.
yeah. I also feel that way about skydiving, where I'm like, how worth the risk is that thrill?
Yeah. I was just going to ask if either one of you have any, beyond jet skiing, a thrill-seeking nature in you.
Light. I have been paragliding, which is running off a mountain with a soft wing above you.
That's cool.
But strapped to a dude.
Yeah.
But still, that was a little intense. And when it was over, I wanted to go back up, but I wanted it to be over the first time.
Yeah.
I was like, I would like to touch my feet to the sand soon. And once my feet hit the sand, I was like, now I know I can do it. I want to go back up. But generally not. We talked about it on the podcast when I went ziplining and how actually kind of depressing that was. It was weirdly just like, I had to manufacture awe. So I don't know what that means.
I felt that way when I skied the first time. I screamed the entire time down the hill and I was yelling. My dad took me and he was trying to it was like in the early days of he had gotten remarried and he was being like, I'm going to bond with my kid. We'll do fun stuff, even though he's like not a do fun stuff guy at all.
Uh-huh.
So the whole thing felt very put on. So he and I are awkwardly like nothing to say to each other, going up the hill, and now we're on the ski lift and neither of us care, but we should be doing this because dads and daughters or some whatever he was trying to do. And we had on Big Feet. Have you ever seen those? Big Feet are short skis that you ski with no poles.
Okay. Yes.
They're just like short skis. Anyway, and I had never done anything from Miami, never skied. It's winter. We're in Albuquerque. And I luckily had training from years and years of rollerblading of how to slalom down a thing. My hips knew what to do, but I figured that shit out on the fly on a very steep fucking mountain because my dad is an idiot and did not train me, didn't take me to school to ski, just was like, all right, let's do this now. You'll be fine. I screamed, fuck you, at the top of my lungs the entire way down that mountain the first time. Fuck you, Dad. I'm never fucking doing this. Fuck you. Ah! Terrified. I get to the bottom and I was like, we should do it again. He didn't hear any of it. So it was like, no harm, no foul. And then we did it again and it was pretty great. But I did not. You got to get trained a little. I learned nothing before. It was like a blue diamond. That was really terrifying. Anyway, yeah, I used to have a lot of thrill seeking in me. I did so much shit for thrill seeking and now I have almost none, except performing, I would say, is thrill seeking. It's, I love that amplification, the improv and the shows and all that. And then you're done. Lately, I've been doing this thing. You guys will relate to this. I've been doing this thing with improv where I'm because, we show up and then there's 8 of us and it's a big show and then it's done. And there's 2 acts and it's long and it's a whole, it's a marathon.
You're doing this once a week, twice a week?
4 times a week.
Wow.
Sometimes twice a week, sometimes nothing a week. It depends on the weeks, what I have scheduled. But for the first month I was doing it, I was doing 3 to 4 shows a week, which was a lot. Anyway, and that was too much.
And they're sustaining that. That's how good their theater is doing.
I'm so impressed with them. It's unreal. Side note, this Sunday, November 6th, if you're in the Jacksonville, Florida area, it's my first stand-up comedy show that I'm producing at the theater. So you go to firstcoastcomedy.com, get your tickets, or Eventbrite, and you would look for the show called Best Stand-Up Comedy Show Ever. Sunday the 6th at 7 p.m. Anyway, and we're halfway sold, pre-sold, which I'm really excited.
Yay.
Anyway, that's a big thing that I've been working on.
Good job.
Thanks. So I've been practicing this thing while on stage where I make myself, I sort of go, I take a big breath and I connect all the way down to my belly. And I try to do even the most amped up things I'm doing while really connected to my deepest vulnerability. Instead of this old thing I would do with improv is just everything gets tight and you go into adrenaline and you just go, 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 crash. So now I'm trying to stay emotionally present and supple while still being on and ready. And it's a really fun challenge.
Do you feel like you're watching yourself a little bit? I don't know why. I just feel
Yeah, I hear you. Not in a way that pulls me out of it. It's more like I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling in more fully, and then just like trying to stay with that while like zippy things are happening. Because what I find is that if I stay with that, it's almost like time slows down in a scene,
Right.
you know, and I'm just like, the scene now feels like it's moving like this, and I have time to make a choice that is intelligent or funny because I'm not racing against some fucking adrenaline clock. It's really interesting.
And do you find that it actually slows everything down so that you also aren't racing against some fast talking boys or whatever, you know, that energy of like the competition energy that sometimes arises in improv? Does this allow you to navigate that without them changing actually?
I think what I find is it's sort of like jujitsu, or what's the other one? Aikido, where no matter what you're bringing, I find these pockets between.
Yes.
Like, you can come at me fast. That's fine because I'm in control of time space.
I love that.
Oh, it's fun. I think that's why it's fun, is like trying to navigate, trying to find like, where's that space? It's kind of cool. It's all inside. It's all inside. It's just all just by being more in and with. And then it just like, it's matrixy. You're just like Neo just bending over, you know, I don't know.
I love that. No, you just reminded me of an image that came to me recently. It might be relevant, but that Aikido idea, like I was identifying that, you know, one of my sort of growth points is not accepting barbs that aren't mine. Like if someone, I think something that I've been really good at, and whether for better or worse for a long time, has been like, okay, I hear what you're saying. Yes, gotcha. Right. And receiving any criticism or, you know, things that are like, I want you to be better at this or do better with that or all that stuff, and receiving that like a giant jellyfish or whatever that absorbs all that. And that's lovely and all and very fucking zen. But the growth has been to actually be more of a Aikido master and go, yep. Oh, no, swat. But not like slap it away, but just be like, no, that one's not mine. And like step out of its way or guide it past me.
1,000,000%.
Or turn it back around and say, I don't think that's true or whatever. But like that idea, I mean, I think it's applicable to improv, is being able to go, you know, receive offers, occasionally dodge offers.
Yep.
Occasionally never swat them back.
Right.
It's not a tennis match, but go like, yeah, but I'm going to let this one slide by me, guiding it. I'm going to guide that offer.
Yeah. It's like yes-anding with boundaries.
Exactly. That is it. That's what relationship can be too.
Yeah.
Yes-anding with boundaries.
That's good. That's really good. I think we just got to something there.
Yeah, is it Aikido that like you use the other person's momentum? So yeah, that's fully yes.
We used to play a game we had a big room that we'd built. It was a big stone-walled room in the back of my tract house in White Rock, New Mexico. And my dad studied Aikido. And when we were young, we'd play this game where we'd ring the walls with pillows, and then we'd attack my dad. And so I have a very clear energy of what that feeling of guided velocity feels like, because I was the one attacking. And we would just go at him, and he'd just go, and he'd always guide us. He'd keep the guide until he found a pillow, you know, boosh, into a pillow, into a cushion. And it was just like, that is such a joyful memory for me. Like, I want to do that again. That sounds great.
Wow, I want to learn that. Maybe I need to study Aikido now.
Maybe.
That's cool. I actually would love to be good at that.
Maybe you just need to attack Cassidy's dad.
Yeah. Is he available?
For attacking? He just turned 85. I don't know how good he is at it anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
How's he doing?
Great.
Of course.
He's great. Fucking my parents.
Both your parents, here's what's going to happen. They're going to just age and age and age until they're both like 125. And then they're just going to evaporate into the sun. There'll be no pain. They just like merge into the atmosphere.
Just walk up Mount Shasta and just not come down.
just just keep going. Earthquake, buried.
Just evaporate up there.
That reminds me, and I don't have it with me, but just to share, we were doing this Zoom party for my dad, and we were like, people were doing like testimonials and like, yeah, you're the best person ever. And then I decided I was looking at he's a 5 on the Enneagram. He's a solid 5. He's like the 5-iest 5 of all 5s. And
I didn't know that. That's good to know about your dad.
And actually his email, he explained to me, he's like, oh, my email, which is Owl on Fire something. I'm not going to give the whole email out. That's all. But apparently he was reading an image thing about the 5 and the Enneagram, and it was of a burning owl. It was like this image, this archetypical image they were giving.
That's cool.
And so I didn't even know that he was super committed to his 5-ness. Anyway, the very end of the Hudson Riso book, which is like one of the sort of Bibles of Enneagram, can't remember what it's called, but is this thing about like the emergent self and what is sort of joyfully emergent about the 5. And reading, I could have read all of it. I didn't have time but the paragraph described my father's journey with such clarity and such precision. It was just
radical,
phenomenally. It was radical. Like I was just like, what? And it's because it's about like finding, researching and getting deep into something, but for the ultimate goal of reaching the womb of no thing, reaching nirvana, reaching enlightenment, reaching the truth of being egoless and having nothing and being freed and all that stuff. And it was like, that is literally my dad's journey whenever he talks about it. And it just was really cool.
No, I feel you so hard on that because, which is what she said, because when I read about the 8, it's, sometimes you tell people about a typing system, it's a personality and a soul typing system. And everybody goes, yeah, like the Myers-Briggs. And you go, no, it's so much more. It's so fucking multidimensional, the Enneagram. The way they can talk about like the holy ideal and the holy flaw, and then like the like what we're moving from and to, it's so. One time, here's the best way I could frame it. I sent Mick Mize, who, did we have Mick on the podcast ever?
No.
Okay, we have Mick on the podcast. What the fuck are we doing? Oh my God, I'm going to ask him right now. Anyway, I said to Mick Mize, who is the quintessential 7, Mick Mize and Scott Lifton, hard 7s. Anyway, I sent him a thing. I was just like studying something about.
And like a soft 3.
What? Oh, because that's the wing? Is that the wing?
That's the length. No, I'm just saying if you're a soft 3, you become a hard 7.
Yeah. If
Dick
you're
joke, dick
lucky.
joke. I did send someone that description today. I said it's like super high woo-woo spirituality combined with meets dick jokes. So I always have to get one in there at least every episode.
Yeah, of course.
Do you show your 7 or do you grow to a 7?
Oh, I wonder. This would be a funny thing to see. What grows to a 7 in the Enneagram? Anyway, go on.
I think it's the 1, actually.
Oh, even better. You're a
Yeah.
real grower, not a shower.
Because Mick is a 7 and his wife is a 1.
Uh-huh.
And they researched it and the 1 integrates to the 7.
Oh, cool.
Anyway, the 7. Oh, so I sent him a little it was a paragraph that I read somewhere and I was like, this sounds a lot like Mick. And I sent it to him and his response was, I am so devastatingly seen by this that it makes me radically uncomfortable.
Yes.
And I was like, that's the business right there, bro. That's what the kind of discomfort you want to sit into. And he's just like, throw it away. No.
Yep. No.
That's why it's so fucking brilliant. Here, my favorite one is Vengeance to Innocence for the 8. I mean, if all I ever learned ever in my whole life in any system was that was my journey, Vengeance to Innocence, that alone changed me so much. It's kind of all I would have needed to give me the direction I needed to get to where I've been going.
Yeah, that's deep because you were denied innocence at a very young age. And so then you wanted to be vengeful for that loss. And instead it was like,
to everyone, everywhere.
What if I don't be vengeful, but actually just reaffirm that innocence?
I had to build it fucking through like piece by piece by piece of clearing and integrating and clearing and integrating. And then it's like, this came up the other day with the improv people. I am, surprise, in improv, in our group, I am the one who regularly gets the note. We do notes, which, by the way, thank God, they're like pro enough that they do fucking notes after every show.
You actually have a director, right? As long as it's not everybody giving each other notes, because that can get different.
No, that's a nightmare. No, they're smart. Anyway, so I regularly get the very kind but very clear, So they're looking at their paper and like everybody's in a circle around the leader. And he's like, so we're going to stay away from dick, ass, and bastard. We're going to, okay, this time we had, let's see, bitch, cunt, and whore. We're going to stay away from those. And I'm always like, I know it was me. I heard it. It was me. I'm sorry. Because we do a blue show at 10 and a not blue show at 7:30. And like, they want it like, you don't even say ass, you say crap or butt, which is so difficult for me. And I'm trying. I'm not trying. And then I just fail and say, one time we did a corporate gig.
Oh,
and
no.
Oh, yeah. And they gave us the names of like Alex, the head guy. They do this every time, which I think is obviously smart. It's what any of us would do when you go back to a place over and over, is like, okay, who's the CEO? Who's everybody? And what's the main quality about them? So we can play them in different scenes. Come in and be like, I'm Bob from accounting and I'm 100, or whatever the joke is. First of all, those jokes murder.
Every time.
I mean,
all you gotta do is say their name and like walk kind of funny.
That's
and then
it.
They're like, oh my God, I feel so seen.
Exactly. Anyway, this one guy, I think it was David Kinley was his name. The thing about him was he has a big ego and everybody jokes about it. And he thinks he's hot shit. And he was heard one time on an airplane saying on a telephone, do you know who I am? And like people in the company give him shit for it. And I was like, that's a great relationship that like the fact that he can hear that and be teased on it is great. So I come out and I played him twice. First I just said, hey, I'm the hottest shit here. I'm David Kinley. Don't you know who I am? Everybody's like, ah, ha, ha, ha. Then already I had said shit. Didn't mean to, said it. But then later I brought him out in another scene. We were playing Tinder Swipe, where you come in as a character that they can either swipe left or swipe right. And it's like someone from the audience is playing the swiper. So I come in, I'm like, yo, it's me. It's David Kinley. I got bitches on my jock over here. And you would have thought I set fireworks off in that room. The laughter never ended. It went, when I said bitches on my jock about this guy, they lost their minds. And it was the only note I got after the show where they were like, so it got a big laugh. Great job. And we're trying to stay away from bitches on my jock as a corporate show phrase.
Yeah, probably safe bet. We often have like team names when we do events that we can't say, because we'll do a thing where we give them like, we'll give out bandanas of a certain color and then we'll have them come up with their own team names. So they'll be like the Blue Devils or the Bumblebees if they have yellow. But sometimes they will straight up be like, bitches on my jock. And then every time we have to call out their team name, we're like, I don't know if I'm allowed to say, all right. And then you're like, oh, BJ. Nope, can't do that one either. This team right over here.
No, can't do that. That's awesome. I keep arguing, like, but here's my question. If they're sassy, irreverent people and they're loving our dick jokes and they're adults, they're not kids, why can't we?
HR. Because somebody's uncomfortable, but that person isn't laughing, and HR has to deal with that.
That's a good point. Thank you.
It only takes one turd to ruin the whole bowl of ice cream.
Never eating ice cream again. Thanks.
Every time I shit in my ice cream, that's what I say.
You're not going to take the turd out and finish the ice cream.
No, it's also melted in there.
That show is ruined for that person.
That's a good point.
Now I'm hearing a fan. Or no, rain. Is it raining? Oh, it's raining outside my place. That's what I'm hearing. It's raining on my tin roof, sun roasted.
You're having a stroke.
You guys, are you hearing this? No.
Do you smell toast?
I
Is
smell
it toast?
and
Are you
I
making
hear
toast?
rain.
Good times.
Yeah, it's outside my headphones.
Ah!
Katie, when we started, you said so much has happened.
Well, I drove to New York and back since I've talked to you.
Yeah.
Which is a long way.
Yeah, you don't live in that other place nearer to New York.
No, it's 2 hours. It's 2 days each way. So I drove up, 8 hours and then 8 hours again and then 8 hours back. 8 hours.
Why?
Because I gave a talk at the Shift NY. I want to mention them to shout them out. Gave us teaching on healing at this Shift NY event. It was like a psychic fair for 2 days, but with workshops and talking also. So when I got asked to do it, I got like a big fat yes on it. So I was like, and I got asked to do it like 2 weeks before it was happening. So I was like, all right, fuck. but it also just, I wanted to like get the fresh air and the leaves and the autumn vibes of the Northeast for like 2 days and not live there,
Mhm.
but like get that vibe, you know?
And drive before winter because
Yeah, because that's smarter than driving during winter. Yeah, so it was very beautiful all the way up. The leaves are unreal right now. It was really stunning. I also got to see all my friends in Beacon. So I went to Oneonta, did the talk, did a big group healing, made 2 friends who like, I'm like, these are going to be like friends for life, which was really cool. One of whom, when I walked up to her boothy thing and she was selling like soaps and sprays and stickers and cool shit, she said, yeah, I said something like, I love your stuff. She's like, yeah, I'm local. Are you local? I said, no, I moved from here to Florida. She goes, oh, that's funny. I moved from Florida to here. And I go, where'd you move from? And I go, Jacksonville, just as she goes, Jacksonville. And we both were like, what? Then she was like, you got to meet my best friend who owns this yoga studio in this neighborhood. And I was like, that's my favorite neighborhood. And then I go, what's her name? And she goes, Katie. And I go, do you know what my name is? And she goes, is it Katie? And I was like, yeah. So we were like besties immediately and like magic and wizards. And she's already connected me with 2 ladies that I now get to try to be friends with, which I love that happened. So cool. And then this woman walked by us who, you know, everybody at these festivals is very like, I'm tapped in and I know things like all the time. A lot of magic stuff like that happens, synchronistic, cool shit. And then this woman was walking by at the time that she and I were talking, this girl and I, and she was like, oh yeah, you're each other's counterpart. You left and then she had to take your place and vice versa. Anyway, and just like kept walking. And we both were like, that's weird, but also seems true. And just like a lot of shit like that. And it was really fun and charged up. And then because I was so close to Beacon, I just drove over there and saw my peeps. And that was good. And then...
So the event was in NYC?
It was in Oneonta, which is upstate Western New York. I had a bit of an emergency that meant I had to turn right the fuck back around. But I ended up having like just enough time to like do my talk, meet some people, have a good experience, go to Beacon real quick and then come right back. But it was like kind of perfect. It was really good. Next time we meet, I want to give an update on the 218s. Remember I've been talking about 218 and 305?
Right. We talked about it a bit on the Denise episode, but you have more on that.
Yeah, it's really interesting what's happening for me with the 218s. And what it's showing me. It's evolving as I evolve, which is very, very cool to watch. And it's giving me a deeper understanding of the 1s and the 8s from before. Like, but it's kind of a deep dive. So I feel like next time
Okay.
we can go there.
Do you want to go in, do any kind of recordy thing or reading-y thing or cardy thing?
I think, unfortunately, because I have to teach in an hour, I think I need to wrap it up soonish.
Well, I'm trapped in my greenhouse now because it is pouring rain outside. Like, I'm not going to be able to get inside. It is just crushing out there right now.
Wow.
So I'm stuck here.
Forever.
Actually, I'm going to go get needles stuck in me.
You are?
I'm going to go get acupuncture because my neck is fucked up as soon as we're done.
Nice. Yeah. Well, next week, we'll talk about the numbers. We should try to get a guest so we have a reason to get in the records.
218 and guest.
Yeah, let's do it. And I feel like it's time for our listeners too. We need a guest and we need a woo-woo download.
Yeah. All right. Well, good talk. Good talk. I love it. I feel better.
We went philosophical, esoteric, and emotional. I'm proud of us. Pretty much nailed it.
Well, that's all anybody should ask for in a podcast.
I agree.
Do your work.
That's what she said. Goodbye.
Okay, bye.
What are you asking for? All of the answers? Say what? All of the answers? Yeah, all the answers.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. We'd love to hear from you. Please email us with your questions so that we have questions to answer in the Akashic Records. Our email address is allanswerspod@gmail.com. That's allanswerspod@gmail.com. And if you'd like to find us on Facebook or Twitter, it's @allanswerspod, @allanswerspod. Thank you.
I realize and I can see that suicide is painless. It brings on many changes, and I can take or leave it if I please. The game of life is hard to play. I'm Gonna lose it anyway. The losing card I'll someday lay. So this is all I have to say. Suicide is painless. Suicide. It brings on many changes. And I can take or leave it if I please. And you can do the same thing if you please.
Mixed and edited by Desmond McNeese for We Mixed It, LLC. Go to whatsoundsawesome.com.